let's take a look at one more example to kind of close this lesson down. Mostly a review lesson anyways, but it's nice to kind of brush up on the skills. So we have a couple of questions to look at. We're not going to look at all of these graphs. I don't think it's really pertinent to do them all, but let's definitely look at a couple ones that maybe we haven't seen before. I'm kind of looking at this guy right over here. So graph each function, determine the equation of axis symmetry, state coordinates vertex, state domain and range. Let's just talk about this for a second here. If I have f of x equals half x squared minus 4x plus 3. We should be able to tell us a couple things about this. First off, we know that a value is positive. It's a fraction, but that's okay. It's positive, so we know that this parabola is going upwards. And if we're going to type this into Desmos to get a graph from us, we're going to want to replace this with y. So let's go ahead and let's replace that. Let's go ahead and let's do this. Pop over Desmos for us, and we're going to be off to the races here. So I already have a y equals in there, so let's just go ahead. Good thing about Desmos is that when you type in 1 divided by 2, it automatically goes as a fraction, but then you have to make sure that you push the right arrow so that you can get to the next input entry. So you should be able to enter like this. If you're having a little trouble entering into Desmos, just let me know about that, and we can take a look at it together. Not really in my frame, so I'm going to go ahead like this, and I'm going to zoom out as well. Now, I'm going to get a couple points for myself here. It doesn't look like we're going to need to get to the intercepts, so I think what I'll end up doing is just give out these two things here, and then I'm just going to kind of give my graph. Feel free to kind of enlarge the space if you want to. I'm just trying to see if I can get to some grid lines. That looks a little better, I think, just so that we can get 0 to 5 rather than 0 to 10. So let's take a look at this graph. I'll kind of snip it away. There we go. And we'll go back to my question over here. So I have this one, and that's really all we need to do for this one. I just like to put my y-intercept on there, just because it's a nice thing to have. The x-intercept looked like it was going to get a little too cluttered, so I didn't do that. But however, I should know what those coordinates were if I went to go back and take a look at the graph. So from this, we got the graph of the equation, so that's good. Axis of symmetry and the coordinates of the vertex. Well, we know the vertex here is at 4, -5, which means that there should be that axis of symmetry that goes up and down vertical from it. So our axis of symmetry would have the equation x is equal to 4. It's always what we do for that. Domain should be kind of like a broken record by now. We're just going to say that this is the real numbers. And my range, in this case, is going to be a minimum. Y is going to be greater than or equal to the minimum value, which is going to be 5. So we kind of have all that. Just make sure that you can enter these ones into Desmos and get these things from it. I will say one other thing just on this question is that number 2 here, it has a negative in front of x squared. So our a value is negative, which means we should have a maximum here. And it should be opening downwards, that parabola. Opening down. Just kind of a little FYI when you're doing these ones. So maybe just spend a little bit of time. You can even pause the video here. You can do these questions. If you run into any problems, let me know about how to enter it into Desmos. But that should be pretty much pretty simple for yourself. And we'll close out this lesson with that.